Hi, everyone. Today, our group is presenting the con side of the proposition that the federal minimum wage should be raised to $15 for all jobs, including tip jobs. While increasing wages may sound like a positive change at first, there are several negative consequences that can come from applying one federal standard across the entire country. Our position is that raising the wage in this way could create more economic harm than benefit, especially for small businesses, tipped workers, and local economies that operate very differently from state to state.
The federal minimum wage has remained at $7.25 since 2009, but many states already have the ability to set their own wages higher depending on their economic conditions. This proposal would create a nationwide $15 minimum wage and also eliminate the tip credit system, which currently allows employers to pay tip workers a lower base wage as long as tips make up the difference. The debate here is really about balance. On one side, people want workers to earn more and have a better standard of living, but on the other side, businesses may struggle with higher labor costs, and those costs can affect hiring, pricing, and even whether some businesses can stay open.
One major concern with raising the federal minimum wage to $15 is the possibility of job loss. If businesses suddenly have to pay much higher wages, many may respond by cutting staff or reducing employee hours or even replacing workers with automation such as like kiosk and self-checkout systems. This especially affects entry-level workers, students, and younger employees who often depend on part-time jobs to gain experience. If wages raise too high, employers may prefer hiring fewer but more experienced workers, making it harder for beginners to enter the workforce. Another problem is that a single national wage ignores cost of living differences. For example, $15 an hour in a rural state may have a much, different impact than $15 an hour in northern New Jersey, where living expenses are much higher. A one size fit all type of policy does not reflect the economic realities of every region.
The hospitality industry would especially be affected by this change. Right now, the tip credit system allows tipped workers, like servers, to earn tips on top of a lower base wage. In many cases, experienced servers already make well over $15 an hour because of customer tipping. If tip credit is removed, customers may begin to tip less because they assume workers are already being paid enough. This could re- this could actually reduce total take-home pay for some servers rather than increase it. Restaurants also operate on very small profit margins, often only around 3 to 5%. If payroll costs rise sharply, owners may have no choice to increase menu prices, reduce staff, or close entirely. Small family owned businesses are especially vulnerable because they cannot absorb these costs as easily as large national chairs.
From the perspective of rule utilitarianism, we look at whether applying this rule broadly creates the greatest good for the greatest number of people. At first glance, higher wages may seem beneficial because they help low-income workers earn more money. However, when a policy like this is applied on a larger scale, the negative consequences may outweigh the positives. Businesses that cannot afford to increase labor costs may shut down, unemployment may rise as a result, automation could replace human jobs, and inflation could make everyday goods more expensive for the common man. So while the intention behind this policy is positive, rural utilitarianism suggests that if the overall result creates widespread economic disruption, then the policy itself might not produce the best outcome for society as a whole.
Looking at ethical codes, ACM Code 101 says that we should promote society over well-being. However, even though raising the minimum wage is meant to help workers, if it leads to layoffs or small businesses closure, it can actually harm communities instead of helping them. This means that not all stakeholders are benefiting equally equally. ACM Code 1.2 focuses on avoiding harm and one major concern is that higher labor costs could push businesses towards automation. While that might help companies reduce expenses, it could permanently displace workers, especially those in an entry-level position who rely on these jobs for experience and income. From a software engineering public interest perspective, policies should benefit society as a whole. If the policy ends up increasing unemployment, raising prices, or destabilizing local economies, then it may not truly serve the public good, even if the intention behind it is positive.
In conclusion, while the goal of increasing wages is understandable and comes from a desire to improve workers' lives, making $15 a mandatory federal minimum wage creates serious risk. These include job loss, increased automation, higher prices for consumers, pressure on restaurants and smaller businesses, and reduces opportunities for entry-level workers. Because every state has different economic conditions, we believe minimum wage decisions should remain under state control rather than be set by a single national standard. This allows each state to adjust wages to fit its own cost of living and business environment. Thank you. And this is our bibliography.